Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. And a very good evening to everyone. Welcome to our CPD session number 2, organized by Akrepat Muslim Center College, Past Pupils Association, Qatar chapter. The topic of the session is the factors affecting the contract price under FIDIC. Thank you very much for joining us today. Special thanks to our resource person, Mr. Azmy Sharif, for having accepted our invitation and spending his valuable time with us, sharing his knowledge and experience. Thank you very much, Mr. Azmy. I would like to take this opportunity to thank our Qatar chapter coordinators, members of working group for their time and effort to organize this event successfully. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Before moving into the session, I would like to make a few announcements. The first one is a good news that the Qatar chapter of Akrepat Muslim Center College, Past Pupils Association, has decided to continue CPD sessions, continuing professional development sessions in the future also. Many of you may have come across our flyer that already circulated on our official social media platforms. To know the details about the future sessions, please follow us on our official social media platforms. I think our admin has already shared the links of the official social media platforms in the chat box. Please click and follow our platforms. Thank you very much. And the second one is that no questions will be entertained during the sessions. Please note that there will be a brief time slot at the end of the session. The relevant questions, if time permits, will be answered by our resource person. Thank you very much. Finally, before moving into the session, let me briefly introduce our resource person. Some of you may be already familiar with the resource person. However, let me make a brief introduction. Mr. Azmy is a seasoned contract and commercial management professional, currently working as a senior contract and commercial manager. The most important thing is that he's a proud one of the proud alumni of Akrepat Muslim Center College, and basically he's an engineering graduate from Peradeniya University of Sri Lanka, currently holding a master's in law and business administration, along with a number of professional qualifications such as RICS, MA, IQS, CQS, and CCMP. Thank you very much, Azmy, for joining us. Over to you now to proceed with the session. Azmy, you are not audible. I think your mic is having some issue, it seems. Azmy, we are not able to hear you. Can someone else confirm if you are able to hear Mr. Azmy?
He's not audible.
Not audible, not audible.
Now, I hope you all can see.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
All right, okay. Right. Thank you, Farhan, for the introductions, as well as thank you so much for the MCC team for this wonderful arrangement. Absolutely, I'm really pleasure to be honored, and I'm really happy to present the things that today as a CPD event. And welcome all. Good evening to you all. Let me quickly give you a brief about the things that we are going to learn today. Of course, the subject name that we made it as the factors affecting the contract price. So especially the reason that why I selected this subject to make sure that the contract commercial professional that we all are working within the industry, we are aware about the opportunities that we can identify in the industry to make sure that we will not make mistake when we identify such an opportunities. As you all know that Before that, I hope you all can see my screen, right? Can someone please confirm that you can see my screen? Share the
Yes,
screen.
please. Yes, please. We can see.
Okay. So let me quickly give you a brief about this session, about the things that we're going to learn. So as you all know that one, we are working in an industry which is a very, I would say that one, very complicated. When we speak about complications, right, we as a commercial and contractual professionals, we are at the front line to run behind the money, where we're going to bring the money to the company, bring the money to the project, bring the money to your employer to use that as a bloodline for your company, right? It's a general fact that you all know that. But most of the time, I'm going to start with my example. Most of the time that we don't pay attention to the money, it can be small or big amount of money. We don't pay attention to the money that the client or maybe other people are stealing from us. I'm using steal. It's a bit harsh word, but still I'm using that one to understand, to make you all understand that. So when we speak about money, guys, as I said earlier, as a commercial contract professional, you are at the front line to run behind the money and bring the money to the company. So most of the time we do our job, we do our professional, we do everything as we want to bring that money to the company or to the project perfectly. But however, you need to enhance your understanding. You need to identify the proper way. You need to understand and learn the things through what ways my original contract amount can be changed and my original contract amount will be impacted, and how I can protect as a person, commercial persons to my company. Let me start with a very simple thing. I work for one of the well-known international, one of the biggest airport development. So I was appointed as a senior contract administrator. I was in charge to run the show in terms of contract management. At that time, we had no, dedicated department for a contract. We were working under commercial manager. So the very first day I noticed one very suspicious thing there. So not very first day, I would say that one very first week. So I started to roam around the department and I noticed that design department, where our contract was traditional contract. In terms of traditional mean, the client designed the building, he gave that to us and we started to construct the building. So I went to the architectural department or design department and I say that one, hi guys, what you all are doing? And they say that one, Azmy, welcome to the team, right? So this is what we are doing and so on, so thing. So I sat with them to understand what are the things that they are doing. And suddenly he opened a document. In that document, I identified it's a shop drawing, engineering document. So it was prepared by us. It's not a design. It's a shop drawing that required for us to execute the work. So I prepared that. He opened that document and I noticed that very suspicious thing. Not suspicious. Of course, the client made a comment. Client made a comment. What comment he made? He circled one item and you see that one. This item should be SS steel. What did he mention? He said, this item should be SS, stainless steel. So I asked him, right, oh, right, probably you might have raised this as a variation. He asked me, what do you mean by variations? Why we need to raise a variation? I said, what's the original item in terms of your contract? I mean, in terms of your IFC drawing. He said, ask me, previously it was mild steel, and now he's asking us to change that to stainless steel. So I said that one, there must be a difference in terms of price. And you are not going to deliver one item, maybe thousands of items similar to that. You need to change it based on the comments from the client. Client in the shop drawing, he made a small comment. So he said that one, no, we're not going to change that. So I asked him, right, these kind of small changes the client is making to you all, you don't claim from the money? He said, no. Why? It's a very small amount of money. Then I said that one, okay, leave that to me. I came back to my office and I started to calculate it. And I identified that you wouldn't believe that's going to be roughly around, that will cost totally roughly around 200,000 Bahrain dirham. It's roughly around 2 million. The project is big. It's won 3.5 billion riyal. including variations and everything, it went to 4 billion. So these people, as they don't have knowledge about the money, from where they are leaking money, they don't take it as a concern. When we speak about you as a commercial contractual people, of course, one day you're all going to be chartered people leading your big teams and everything. You all must have a good understanding about the money and through what ways my money, my contract amount will be impacted. It's essential to everyone, including myself, you, and whoever working in the company. That's what my understanding. But as a first line or front line runners, you all need to understand these kind of element in all situation, right? So in that perspective, I thought that one, it's essential to ensure that you all have a fundamental knowledge. It's not a fundamental, I would say that one commercial fundamental knowledge in terms of picking an appropriate points, an appropriate situation through which we are leaking money, whether you are a client or a contractor, regardless, through which way you're going to leak the money and how you're going to point that and bring that back to the company. So after that, what happened to that Bahrain airport? We introduced a new form. So whenever our document controller receives any document with the engineer's comment, employer's comment, there will be a new sheet, a cover sheet on top of that, and where the design department will mark a small tick. There is a change from original design, small tick. If they identify the document controller after they receive the drawing, they will send that to the design department. Design department will see that, oh, the employee changed small item. They will tick it, and the document controller will send that to me again. They will say that once, sir, we receive a one cover page where our design department made a tick. The meaning of that, there is a small change. I will immediately review that, and I issued a request for engineer's instruction to the client. By the time, at the time of my resignation from that company, I counted 850 plus the request for engineer's instruction I issued. If you value them, it will go more than 50, 60 millions of riyal. I don't know how much, roughly. What's the meaning of that? The client, in a sneaky manner, I wouldn't say that one. I'm using the words just for you all to understand it. So the client, in a manner or in a sneaky manner, he will try to change many items in many ways, through shop drawing, through verbal instruction, through letters, many. So you as a commercial personnel, you need to have a good understanding about what are the ways they can make a changes, or what are the ways that we can claim our entitlement money from the employer. You can be a subcontractor, you work for a main contractor, you work for a supplier, regardless. There are many ways that your money may be leaked. So it's essential for you all to ensure that you all are going to pay attention to each and every minute level of activities to protect your client money or your money. Right. In that perspective, today, we're going to learn about especially 7 items. How variations will impact the contract price, claims and entitlement, how it's going to impact, adjustment of the changes in the cost, how it will impact, provisional sum, what is that and how that will impact our contract price, day work schedules and day works, how it will impact, and finally, errors and omission in the contract, how that's going to impact the contract price. Right. With that, let me move to the very first slide, which we are going to learn what is contract price adjustment. Let me start with one single word, guys. Are you all aware that in a contract, clause number 1, if you open FIDIC, of course, as we are going to base FIDIC is a standard term of conditions of contract, standard form of contract, which is being practiced in the region, GCC, or most of the countries. Or maybe the FIDIC being used as a base document to prepare their contract. Let's learn or focus the FIDIC, which will give you fantastic knowledge and you can apply anywhere that you want, right? When you take FIDIC, if you open clause number 1, which is speaking about the definition of the contractual item. If you're going to talk about something in your book, you need to tell that whenever I say, for an example, phone means A, B, C, X, Y, Z. You need to give some definition because you are going to write many things about the phone inside the book. So the people needs to understand what is the meaning of phone. He mentioned many places, phone. What's the meaning of that? So for that, you will give a definition. Similar to that in the contract also, we have a definition. So clause number 1 that provide definition. It provides many things about employer, who is employed, capital W, work, what is that work, scope of work, money, day, calendar day. For many things, they have provided definition. And I hope many of you are aware that when you go and read that, there are words they have mentioned with the capital letters. You all might have noticed that. Some wording, some item, they have mentioned with capital letters. Have you ever noticed, guys? Would like to see the session will be very much interactive. So make sure, guys, you all are going to answer to my questions, right? Please. Can others please switch off your mic, Murshid? And make sure that the mic will be disabled, please. Right. So how many of you have noticed that capital C, capital W, capital? In some places you might have noticed in the same contract, simple C, simple W, simple S, subcontractor, right? When you speak about that capital, guys, your contract will define what's the meaning of capital contract, capital C contract. Or your contract or your employer in your contract will say that what is the capital W, right? So if you open FIDIC, FIDIC defines what is capital C. Contract price mean, what is that? Contract price mean, what is that? So when you go and open that, normally your contract is a lump sum amount of money that you're going to sign with a client. And time to time, because of the changes, modifications, variations, and many other things, your contract amount will be changed. In definition, under the definition, if you're going to mention that as a capital C contract price, means the amount of money the parties are agreeing today as a contract amount. If you're going to mention this, what you're going to mention? Capital C contract, capital P price mean, if the meaning of the capital contract price mean, the amount of money the party is going to agree to sign this contract. That's what the contract price. Let's say if you have mentioned this, every time when you update your price, when you change your prices, when you change your cost, when you change your lump sum price, these definitions will not take valid, will not be considered as a valid. Why? The capital C contract price you mentioned, the amount of money the parties are mentioning or signing, today they are signing with the 10 million. That's a contract amount. So in the contract, wherever I mentioned capital C, that's equal to 100 million or 10 million. However, if this 10 million will be impacted by variation or provisional sum or something, this 10 million will become 12 million. Now, this 12 million is not a capital C contract price. Why? In the definition, you mentioned that contract price means 10 million, the amount of money that we are signing today. As this amount of money will be changed, this capital C contract price will not be valid anymore. So that's why if you open the FIDIC, FIDIC very clearly defined that the contract price means it's an amount of money that includes adjustment in accordance with the contract. In accordance with the contract. If you open clause number 1.1, or maybe if you open clause number 14.1a, it speaks very clearly, contract price is not the amount of money that we are signing today, 100 million. But that amount, capital C contract price mean this amount plus any adjustment that we are going to do in features, everything will be considered as a contract price. So remember, guys, the contract itself, especially FIDIC, allows you all to change the contract amount fundamentally. And even after you change that, that will become your capital C contract, capital P price. It's a very simple fundamental that you all need to know. First thing, that make sure that you are understanding or you got a knowledge that capital C contract price is different, simple C contract price is different. If it is a simple C, simple P, maybe some contract amount, no one's going to argue on it. But when you mention capital contract, capital price, of course, the meaning of that something already defined in your contract. So this is a fundamental. Please bear that in your mind. With that, we're going to move to very first element, how my contract price will be impacted. You all know that in the construction industry, it's inevitable or maybe unavoidable that changes. You cannot avoid changes in the construction industry. No chances. Who's going to tell me that you completed construction without any changes, without single change? I'll bet you that not a single project completed in the entire world without changes, unless otherwise it's your own small construction of small, pit. Yeah. So other than that, all the construction, industrial construction that you all are working, that will be impacted by changes, right? And you all know that, I don't know how many of you are aware that, you all know that FIDIC red book, which we all are using for the purpose of traditional construction method, do you know that it's fundamentally remeasurement contract? How many of you are aware that? It's fundamentally remeasurement contract. Right. Good. Right. You are aware about it. It's a remeasurement contract. As it is fundamentally remeasurement contract, that contract's what it says, right? If any changes occur to the work, you don't want to worry about that. Why? All the works will be remeasured at the time of payment, and that will be paid to you. You don't want to worry about it. Whenever you use the standard FIDIC form of contract, it says that your contract is a remeasurement contract. So any variation comes to you, you don't want to worry about that, because at the time of payment, we will remeasure all the work, and we will calculate the cost amount of money that you are entitled, and we will give that to you. So fundamentally, contract says that contractually our contract is remeasurement form of contract. So you don't want to worry about that. Any monies that you are entitled will be paid to you like our initial work where we have contracted. We say that one, now 100 million with this is condition. And at the end, it may be 250 million. We don't know that. We will remeasure based on the rates and everything that you provided, and we will pay the money back to you. Right. However, there are chances, regardless whether it is a remeasurement or maybe lump sum contract, where you have agreed, the employer as a contractor, in order to complete this work, construction of this 2-story car park, I'm offering 100 million. And without any changes to the project, I'm assuring you, I will complete this project within 100 million. Yeah. I'm going to tell that as a lump sum. But the other way around, what I'm telling that, yeah, client, as you haven't completed the 2-story car park now, I don't know what kind of changes you're going to make later. Because of that, I'm available or I'm unable to provide you the a bulk amount of money like 100 million. So because of that, I'm going to tell you currently up to the level that you have developed now, I can tell you, right, 80 million. And these are my rates. And any changes that you're going to make, I'm okay to measure it later. And it can become 90 million. It can become 110 million. I'm okay to that. That method we call lump remeasurement. And the other method, which I say that a person submitted 100 million as a lump amount of money, that's a lump sum contract. Regardless of these two methods, sometimes the clients may come and tell you that I need to change it. The changes can be works. He can come and change the number of quantities. He can come and change the quality of the work. He can come and change the sequence of the work. He can come and change the timing of the works too. I'll tell you a small story. While I was working for one of the high-rise buildings, we already agreed that the contractor will deliver ABC item from Germany on this date. We already agreed that item. Suddenly, one day, the client issued an instruction to the contractor. Dear contractor, we are aware about that you are going to deliver ABC item from Germany on this date. However, considering the storage issues, considering the non-completion of the site, we request you to hold that shipment for certain dates. But unfortunately, no, the client issued this instruction almost 3 weeks before the delivery of the material. But unfortunately, the contractor already shipped the material. They changed the timing, right? They say that one on this date, previously they agreed based on the contractor already shipped the material. But now suddenly the client changed the mind because the site is not ready. It does not have a storage and everything. So he said that one, no, we don't want on this date. Please push that by 10 days, 20 days or 30 days. Now the contractor say that one, we have already shipped the material. The material will be delivered to the site on this date. If you don't want that material, then I need to find an additional external storage for which I'm going to pay roughly around 500,000. I will put the material for so and so date and you need to pay the additional money too. Simply, a changes in timing will impact the cost. That will trigger as a variation. And if you go and read the red book, if you go and read the silver book, if you go and read the yellow book, in FIDIC, we have a rainbow sheets. We have red, green, blue, pink, silver, orange, gold. Yeah, many books are there. So each and every book, set of terms and conditions for a specific nature of work. Right. If we go and read that one, it's very specifically mentioned that if the contractor identifies in any situation any changes, then the contractor will raise a notice under clause 20.1 to reserve his entitlement. So remember, the client or the employer can come and tell you in a sneaky manner that, oh, right, contractor, it's nothing. I'm just pushing the date back. Now, tell the manufacturer to stop it. Tell the manufacturer to delay that 2-3 days. Even though you haven't shipped that material yet, that will cost you how? The manufacturer will tell that, dear Muhammad, I prepared your material. I reserved some slot within my store, but unfortunately, I need to ship it today or tomorrow as we agreed because I need a storage. If not, I'm going to charge you. He has a very limited storage and he stored your material certain date. And after that, based on your date, he planned and he started to ship that. And he already took different work, new works to do that. And from that new work, he received some kind of new deliverable. He needs a space to store his material. So the manufacturer from Germany, he will call and say that one, I'm sorry, Mohammed, you need to take the material off, otherwise I'm going to charge you. Because storage, I don't have it, I need to put somewhere else, I will charge. So remember, any variation that you can receive, it can be verbal variation, it can be quantities, it can be quality impact, it can be form of the deliverable change, sequence change, anything will cost you. So you, as a person, commercial person, you need to make sure that you are going to go back and read your contract, especially clause number 20.1 or 20, go back and read that and see what it says to you. If you go and read that clause, the clause very clearly say that one. In any situation, if the contractor identified, if the contractor identified any cost or time impact, the contractor should issue a notice to the employee. So what's your duty here? You're going to prepare a notice and send that to the client. Tell the client, dear client, my original contract amount is 100 million. But now you ask me to do some kind of changes, and I coordinated with the factory, and the factory say that one, that's going to cost me additional money as I'm going to store the material. Because of that, please pay the money of 500,000, which I need to pay to the factory. Think about that. You did not pay attention to this scenario. What will happen? You will lose your chance to claim the money, right? And also, you will not pay the money from the client, you will pay the money from your own pocket. And remember, guys, clause 20, we call it as a condition precedence. The clause itself, it is giving you two conditions, right? It's very dangerous if you are not going to read it appropriately or properly. If you go and read the clause 20.1 saying you two conditions. One, if you became aware or the contractor should have become aware in any situation, if you got to know that any event will cost you or will impact your time, you need to issue notice to the employer within 28 days from the day that you got to know about it. Right? First condition. And the contract, the clause continues and it says that if the contractor fails to issue, what is the second condition? If the contractor fails to issue, then the contractor is not entitled for money or time. While I was learning LLM, I read many clauses, right? Many case laws, the law, or maybe the judge award, the judge, finalize the cases. In it, many of the cases I read, as the clause is very clear, you need to submit a notice within 28 days. And the second clause says that if you fail to do that one, you are not entitled. As the clause is very clear, if you fail to issue a notice to the client on that time or within that time, you are not entitled to claim it because the contract is very clear. If you fail, no entitlement. But if you are a contractor who is a clever one, if you are a contractor representative, at the time of writing this contract, you need to go back and advise your people as a contractor, guys, in our contract, we have two conditions under the 20, clause number 20. One, they want to issue a notice. It's okay. We will issue the notice, no problem. But what if we fail to issue notice within 28 days? The contract says that if you fail to issue that within 28 days, you are not entitled for any monies or time. So let's go back to the client and negotiate this clause. Of course, everything is negotiable. So go back to the client and negotiate and remove this second portion, right? You need to protect your client, right? So remove that. So first portion say that one, you need to issue a notice within 28 days. The second portion you removed. So even though you failed within 28 days, it will not be considered as an instructive, that will be considered as a directive. It's not going to be an instructive. Oh, right, you need to submit within 28 days, otherwise no money. It did not say something like that. It says you need to submit within 28 days. No money clause, you already removed. So it's a direction to the contractor. The contractor, if you got to know anything that's going to cost you time and money, please make sure that you're going to issue a notice. That's it. Okay. So variations are very important. It's an essential element that you all need to pay attention to ensure that we are going to pick that. It can be works, additional work, the clients can come and tell you, or additional quantities, additional qualities, any form change from water to solid, from solid to water, liquid. That also will cost you. Sequence change, construct this one initially, or maybe suddenly employee change that to number 5th. Yeah. Or maybe the timing, as I said earlier. So anything that's going to be changed, make sure that you are going to pay attention and issue a notice to them. And once you issue the notice, ensure that you're going to receive an engineer's instruction, or maybe you're going to agree with the engineer that there is a 500,000 additional cost for the storage, right? And that money will become an impact to your contract amount. So you will receive an engineer's instruction, and after that, there will be a certain procedure. At the end, both parties will sign as an amendment to the contract amount. So your contract original 100 million plus 500,000, 100 million, 500,000, now your contract amount. So fundamentally, guys, your variation will impact your contract amount. And the second one, of course, same as your clause number 12.3, which is evaluation and measurement, that the quantities that you're going to remeasure based on your contract, right? Actual quantity that you're going to execute. It's not a variation. The client did not ask you to do additional work. Your client did not ask you to do some kind of, executed work. Your client did not ask you to change the sequence. Your client did not ask you to do something else. But here, the client increase some kind of additional work. Or maybe originally, you yourself measured that as a 1,000 doors. 1,000 doors for your building. But while you are executing, you identify that it's not 1,000 door, it's 1,120 doors. 1,120 doors. So now you are entitled for an additional money when it comes remeasurement contract. When it comes remeasurement contract. Understand one thing, guys. When it comes BOQ, BOQ is a tool that you will use to start your work with. You're going to use that BOQ as what? For your tool to start with. It's not going to be the final document. People cannot argue using the BOQ. This is the final quantity when you go for a remeasurement contract. Your remeasurement means all the items that I have mentioned, all the amount that I have mentioned, all of them are just an indicative. They are not final items, final price. Only final element, conclusive element is my rate. The quantities can be changed. Based on the quantities, the total contract amount will be changed. So they are indicative. They are not finalized, conclusive. So remember, guys, in your contract, if your contract is a measurement based or something like we call it as a cost plus contract, let's put that aside. Let's come to the remeasurement. Then remember, your contract should very specifically articulate what are the reason you can adjust your contract amount. That should mention under the 12.3. All the quantities will be remeasured time to time to ensure the actual quantities executed on site. So if you have such a contract, make sure that you are going to go back and measure the item in all situations and ensure that you are going to pay attention to claim the money from the employer. And if your contract says that my rates, normally in the remeasurement contract, you can't go and do the rates, for all the item that he can write. A very simple example. You mention in your contract or BOQ, delivery of 1,000 door. Your rate is per door 1,000 riyal. What are the costs that we have here? The material cost, labor cost, delivery vehicle cost, administrative cost, and so on, so thing. You mention how much? How much you have mentioned? 1,000 riyal. It's a remeasurement contract, right? Now suddenly, client issued an instruction to you. I said, dear contractor, I don't want 1,000 doors. Let's make it 10 doors. And he closed all the doors area. Hypothetically, okay? He closed all the doors and he said that I need only 10 doors. What's your rate now? What's your rate now, guys? Your rate, you mentioned 1,000 riyal, right? Think about a situation. Previously, you provided them 1,000 riyal, considering 800 per door, right? 800 per door. For your transportation of the 1,000 door, let's say you will cost roughly around 200,000, right? And also administration, for the administrative person, you need to pay around 50,000 as administrative cost. And for blah, blah, for all other things, you calculated the price. Then you divide it by 1,000 and you put 1,000 riyal as a price. But in fact, your door is 800 and your administrative cost 50,000. Your transportation is 200,000. Now the client suddenly reduced by 10. Still, you need to pay 50,000 for the administrator. You still need to pay how much? For a 200,000 for a transportation, for an example, okay? 200,000 for a transportation. And you still need to pay other administrative cost and everything. Regardless of the number, the certain amount of money that you need to pay for certain activities, they are consistent. They are not going to be changed. So now your 1,000 riyal is not valid, not suitable. Now you need to recalculate that and you will identify that your price now will become per door 15,000 riyal. from 1,000 to 15,000 because all the cost, that additional cost that you're supposed to incur for 1,000 door, now you are going to split that for 10 doors. Because of that, your price and rates will jump from 1,000 to 1,500 or 1,500, right? 150,000, 1,000, 15,000. Yeah, such a huge jump. Similar to that, when it comes variation, the client say that one, I'm going to construct this building for 1,000 square meter. And suddenly the client say that one, all this area I have 1,000 door. Now I'm going to increase another 2,000 doors. Another 2,000 doors. Now it's going to become 3,000 doors for your entire project. You say that, dear client, of course, my storage I rented to store all this door with a 10% margin. Okay, 1,100 I can accommodate. If you are increasing by another 2,000 doors, I need to go find a new store. I need to find a new place. I need to have additional security. I need to have additional people. I need to have additional administrative. I need to have additional vehicle to transport, right? That material from here. So my rates here also not applicable. So my rates will become additional 2 security guards, 3 vehicles, 2 storage. My price will become different. So remember, guys, at the time of variation or remeasurement stages, you need to pay attention to your monies and everything to make sure that you are going to pick your money and get the money appropriately, correctly. So that will at the end will change your contract price. You got my point? So actual quantities measured under the subclause 20.3 will be adjusted time to time when there is a changes in the amounts and everything that will be adjusted and your contract amounts will be finally executed. It can be unit rate adjustment. It can be price increasement. It can be any other BOK adjustment, additional work or anything. So remember, guys, your contract price will be impacted by variation as well as quantity remeasurement too. Okay, this is one of the fundamental things that we all work. So variation and quantity measurement that you need to pay attention to that. As a very important next item that you need to pay attention to the claims. As I explained previously, under clause 20, they are explaining about what is claim, how the claims will be handled, how the disputes will be handled and everything. Before we dive into that, I would like to tell you all, in the construction industry, there are 4 claims only. How many claims, guys? So many times in the RICS interviews, I have asked people, how many claims? How many types of claim? They will tell EOT claim, variation claim, price increase claim, legislation change claim. They will list down and go. But remember, in the industry, all these claims will be divided into 4 major categories. Number 1, contractual claims. Anything that you are going to claim based on your contract changes, we call that as a contractual claims. It can be employer changes. It can be delay. It can be disruptions. Anything that's going to be impact, or maybe contractually you read the contract terms and condition, it says that one, if there is some kind of delay to the project which incurred by the client, then the contractor is entitled for money. If anything mentioned in the contract for which you are thinking that you are entitled, and for which you are going to issue a notice to the client telling the client, dear client, I'm entitled for this 100,000 Riyal because you delay the project, then you are entitled for that money. And that money should be delivered to you and your contract will be changed. And remember, if you go and open FIDIC, clause number 17.3, it lists some items or maybe some scenario as a client risk. Client risk, the meaning of that. If any of these element or if any of these event occurred, then the client will pay me money for the additional amount of money that I'm going to pay because of this event. Now, very simple, a design error. As a contract, it says that the client will design the work and give that to me. I'm going to do only construction. As a contract says that, as the time of execution or the time of execution, if I identified anything problem or design error or mistake, then I'll go back and say the client, dear client, this is your design. You provided, but now I'm seeing some kind of problem, so I'm going to claim the money from you. One example, while I was working for one of the project, it was a design bit build. Okay, design bit build, the meaning of that, the client designed it and he gave that to me to price it. I price it and he offered the work. I'm going to execute. Muhammad, please, can you please mute your mic? Right. Okay. But while we were executing, we identify that the client missed to calculate the entire project amount, the entire project total weight. Someone writing on my presentation, it seems like someone writing. Oh, anyhow, so it says the client failed to calculate the weight of the water tank. It's a high-rise building, right? So there are many water tanks all over the places. So the client failed to calculate the weight of the water tank in its entire building calculation. Entire building calculation, he forgot to calculate the weightage. So at the time of checking the validity of the building structure, we identified that the client failed to consider the weightage of the water tank that will be constructed on the 10th floor, 20th floor, 25th floor. We calculated, they did not consider. So we go back and say that, dear client, unfortunately, you did not calculate the amount or the price, or the or the weight of this water tank. Because of that, now the structural dimensions and everything will become bigger. The column size will become bigger because why? Initially, you did not calculate, you did not consider 1,000 ton water tanks weightage and everything. Now it is going to become so and so thing. So I need to increase the concrete. I need to increase the productivity. I need to increase the rebar. I need to increase the slab thickness, many things. So if the employer made any mistake, if the employer made any errors, if the employer identify anything, then the contractor will simply issue a notice and tell the client, dear client, under the clause 17.7, it's mentioned that if you missed anything in the error, in the design as an error, that will cost us additional cost to us, then we are entitled to take the money from you. So the client will come and give that money to you because, yes, I made a mistake. To rectify the mistake, you need so and so money, please take it. So remember, when you speak about your contract price will not only be changed by the variation, but also it will be changed by the employer's risk event. Let's say some people came or terrorists came and they started some kind of war in your area. And the government made a law or maybe order. They say that one, until the war ends, people cannot go out. The contractor will come and argue. It's already mentioned in the contract. The contractor will come and tell that one, dear employer, to construct your house, to construct your building, to construct your commercial property, I came here with my people's machineries and everything. And now I'm stuck. I'm unable to complete my work. I'm unable to do the things. My people are idle, sitting inside the room. I'm paying them salary, I'm paying them food, I'm doing the everything. So that's going to cost me additional money. If this project was not awarded to me, I could have worked somewhere else. I could have worked in Malaysia. I could have worked in Indonesia. I could have worked in UAE, right? I came here to work for you, and now I came and that some kind of war occurred in your area and they blocked me and I'm spending unwanted money. So it's your risk, dear client. Right? I'm not going to take. The client cannot push you. All right, you come and work to my project. But however, if the terrorists come and start any war, then you are entitled. You need to protect yourself, go home. You cannot tell. No one will come and work in that situation. So certain item in your contract, you will list them down as the employer risk. Employer risk. So any of these risks occurred, these risks occur to you, then you are going to go back and claim that from the client, and that will impact your contract price, and your contract price will be increased. In it, the very first one is design error. If the client's going to design it, if the client's going to do all the drawing and give that to you just to construct it, and if you identify any problem, you are entitled to claim the money from the client. Or maybe the client, you constructed the work, the client suddenly came and started to use a portion of the work without asking you, or in your contract you don't have any partial handover or partial milestone completion. Suddenly client came and started to use. I don't want to mention the project. In one of the project, we completed a certain area. Very nicely we completed. And client came for inspection, and they identified that, oh, very nice. They completed the work. So they came and they issue a letter. We are going to occupy this room from tomorrow or day after tomorrow. They issued a letter and started to use the area. We said, dear client, as you are occupying our building, even though contractually we are not obliged to hand over partially, a portion of the work we are not supposed to provide you. As we completed, you are taking an advantages and coming and using that area. Because of that, later there may be a damages. There may be an issue. There may be a concern. You may damage the paint. You may damage the bulb. You may damage the switch. You may damage the furnitures. After that, don't come and tell me, oh, right, you see one furniture that was broken. Don't come and tell me. As you are doing that, as you are utilizing it, you need to make me free from any of this problem. If any problems come, you need to give me the money to do that. So that's employer risk, right? And unforeseeable, or maybe we can say that one, force majeure event. Force majeure event, unforeseeable event. For example, COVID pandemic. No one expected that this kind of virus will be spread all over the world. Suddenly the entire country, nations, world went off. Yeah, animals took advantages and they started to freely roam all over the places. So what if such a situation occurred? It's an unforeseen. We never thought about it. We never imagined this kind of things will occur. What's going to happen? Again, I'm going to come and tell that, dear client, I came to work for you, right? While I'm working, I had a problem. I was assigned to do some kind of claim assessment for one of the government PIF project. I don't want to name that, right? So while I was working there, the claim is specially related to, the client brought a specialized contractor to do some kind of very nice different project. They came, they started the project. After a while, pandemic hit the project. So they stopped the work and went back to their countries. After pandemic and everything went off, the client phoned them and said that, can you please come and start the work? He said, I started the work with a good intention that I will complete the work within 365 days. But midway through, unfortunately, pandemic came and I stopped the work. We all went back, right? I spent huge amount of money for a demobilization. I sent back all my people. I sent all my machineries back and I incurred a huge amount of money. It's not because of anything, but because of your project. You awarded to me. I came to work. I brought all the materials. Because of the pandemic, I sent all of them back. And now, if you want me to come and start the work, please give me certain amount of money. And not only that, we have noticed in their contract, they don't have an extension of time clause. You don't want to go detail into that. We call it as a, anyone aware about that word? If you don't have EOT clause, then your contract will move into time at large. The meaning of that. Right now, we agree that employer, because of your mistake, the project being delayed. However, in your contract, you don't have clauses. You don't have terms and conditions, which he is going to allow the parties to revise the contract, telling them, no, previously our contract completion date 365 days. Now pandemic came, because of that, another 600 days. Now we're going to add that and have a new completion date, so on, so thing. To do this, To do that, your contract doesn't allow you. You don't have terms and condition in it. So now the contractor will argue, take that as a position, and they will argue, yeah, the employer, yes, okay, it's your delay. You need to give me another 600 days for me to additional variation. But however, your contract doesn't allow how to handle that. Because of that, I'm going to come back. If you are going to give me all this money, I will come back and I will do the work and complete it reasonably. I think that that's good. It's not going to be within 600 days. You are not going to extend it, the new completion date 600. I can say that one another 50 days, 100 days I will take, but I will complete the project in a reasonable manner. That's what we call time at large. So remember, if the employer risk, any of the risk mentioned in the contract, if that occurred, you are there to pick that and claim the money from the client. And as a client representative, you need to make sure that none of these risks are going to hit the project. If so, you need to make sure that in your contract, in your report, in your monthly report, cost report, or whatever it is, you're going to mention that, dear client, this employer risk occurred. Because of that, our budget should be increased by 2 million. The contractor will come with a claim. So increase your price by 2 million. You need to do your homework and give the money how much it may be. So remember, guys, claims, especially the employer risk event, anything occurred, you are going to claim that money, which will change your contract amount. And the second one, legislation. Before we dive into legislation, guys, understand that one. As I said earlier, first slide, capital word. If you go and open your contract says that the capital C country. Capital C country. What's the meaning of that? What's the meaning of that? You know, a simple scenario I'll tell. A Dubai company, they own a property in Saudi Arabia. They own a property in Saudi Arabia. They want to construct a building. So they said, we are going to bring a contractor from Saudi Arabia. My project is in Saudi Arabia. However, I'm from UAE, Dubai, right? So we're going to start our contract here. We're going to start our contract here. However, any problems come, all those problems we are going to refer in Dubai only. All the problems will be handled by Dubai law, not Saudi law, because I'm owner of Saudi. So I'm aware about my law. So I want any problems come, we will deal under Dubai courts, Dubai law and everything. You might understand that there are two types of countries here. One, the country which I'm executing the project. The second one, the country which is going to give me legal actions against my problems, issues, and everything on my contract. So normally, you mention the country which you are working, executing the work. We call that as a capital C country. Capital C country. Okay? Capital C country. So any changes come, any problems come, any issues come, any changes were introduced by the law of the capital C country, the project which you are executing that country, then you can go and ask the money from the employer. Let's say Dubai changed one law that all the contract that we are executing in Dubai, they should have 20 people minimum, for an example, okay? Can you tell that, oh, my contract, all the laws and everything governs by Dubai. So in Dubai, they are changing that. In Dubai, there should be a 20 people. In my contract also, I need to have 20 people. So give me additional money. Can you do that? No. So we call that your laws, terms and condition. If any problems come to your terms and condition, you will go to Dubai and deal with that under the Dubai law. However, as you are constructing the project in Saudi Arabia, if any changes the Saudi Arabia are going to make in their law, the Saudi Arabia suddenly issue that. So all the people working or any construction activities being carried out in Saudi Arabia, minimum they need one HSC supervisor for every 50 people. It's one change. While I was working for Riyadh Metro in 2019, the government issued a law. They issued a law. Any countries, any construction they are working, not any countries, any construction being executed within Saudi Arabia, they must have one HSC supervisor for every 50 peoples. They just issued this law. What happened? My company, initially, they say that, no, there wouldn't be any changes. Later, they identified the contractor submitted a claim. What the contractor submitted? They said, dear employer, originally, Saudi Arabia had no, they'd never released any law, something like that. Because of that, I considered every 200 people, one HSC supervisor. I considered based on my, good assumption. But suddenly, after I signed the contract with you and everything, suddenly, now the country, capital C country, from where I'm going to execute the project, that country law changed. So without implementing that law, I cannot execute the work. I cannot tell, oh, you know that my contract terms and condition, everything will be governed by Dubai law. The Saudi government say, okay, go there and do your construction. You are working inside my country. You need to follow all the legal laws, everything that I'm going to bring in. So that's why we make it capital C country. That means the construction where you are going to construct. So all the changes the government's going to make, you need to implement. Otherwise, you will be fired. Your project will be stopped, suspended, terminated. Right? So any changes that the government going to make to your project, capital C country going to make to your project, you need to go and claim from your client. After the base date, after the date that your project started, anything that's going to be impacted, you need to go and ask the client. And similar to that, anything that will impact your performance, then you need to go and claim that from the client. So the client say that one, or the government say that one, please stop this area, any construction activities. You sign a contract with the employer to construct a 5-story building. Suddenly the government issued a notice. We are visiting this area. The Crown Prince is visiting this area. Because of that, the project will be suspended for 2 weeks. So your productivity, your performance, your execution, everything will be reduced. As your performance is going to be reduced, you are going to go and claim the money from the client. Or maybe the government changed the law which will impact your performance. The government say that one, there should be 200 women, or maybe 20% women should be there in order to successfully register your company, or maybe extend your company registration. If not, the company's registration will be removed. So you started the company in order to execute a construction. The client paid you, and you, based on your project, right, I need 100 men to complete the work. So you brought them, but suddenly government changed the constitution, minimum 20 people, women. So you replace by 20 women, and you identify that your productivity is not to the level, or performance is not to the level. Because of the change in law, your performance is going to be low. So you will go back to the client and tell them, dear client, please pay the money, which is going to impact your contract price. Right? And remember, guys, as I said earlier, capital C country, legislation changes in the capital C country, the country where you are executing the project, only you are entitled. If Dubai change, even though your contract, the owner is from Dubai, he say that one, I'm from Dubai, so any problems come in terms of terms and conditions, or maybe clauses I have mentioned, let's deal under Dubai code. Even though he mentioned that, any problem comes, you will go there. But the governing law of the contract, of your contract being governed by Dubai law, right? Dubai laws and conditions. If they change there, you cannot go and claim anything. Why? It's only the changes to that country. Any changes to your contract will impact there only. If any problems come to their terms and conditions, you will go there and resolve it. But you are constructing the construction here. So if any problems come here, then you need to go and claim the money from the client. So remember, capital C country, any issues come, of course, you need to claim that money. Then, of course, delay damages and bonus. You are a contractor. As you all know that one, there is a liquidated damage. The first delay that we learn under the first item, that's a delay by the client. The client delay that. So because of that, you are entitled some money and you took the money. But this delay, we're going to learn about delay damages. Delay damages. What's the meaning of that? Delay damages. How many of you have checked your contract? In that, you might have noticed one appendix or maybe appendix. In it, they might have mentioned milestone payment, many milestones, activities that you're supposed to complete on a certain set day, and some amount of money against that. If you fail to deliver this on this date, every day there will be 10,000 riyal. How many of you have read that? How many of you have noticed? No one? Right. Milestone schedule. Yeah, in that, next to that, you might have noticed some amount of money called liquidated damage. The meaning of that, it's a genuine, predetermined, pre-estimated amount of money. For an example, I'm constructing a hotel, okay? I set a target, right? 1st of January 2026, I'm going to open my hotel. And I agree with one of the contractor, dear contractor, this is my project, okay? I want to construct a hotel. And we both agreed that he said that one on the 31st of December, your hotel will be ready. Don't worry about that. First day, 1st of January, you can open your, what is that? Hotel. So with a very excitement, what I did, I started to book my hotel. And suddenly the contractor delayed the project delivery by 10 days. From the 1st of January, I supposed to earn good amount of money. But the contractor delayed 10 days. Because of that, I lost my earning. So to avoid any problem later at the end, you and contractor start to fight about this earning loss and everything. To avoid that, at very, very early stage, at the time of signing the contract, you are going to calculate, okay, if the contractor delay my project by 1 day, right? How much money I may lose? Maybe very first day, out of 400 rooms, around 100 rooms may be booked. So how much money I will lose if he is not going to provide the project 1st of January? How much money I may lose because of this 100 rooms? I'm going to calculate it. And I'm going to insert in my contract and tell the employer, dear contractor, if you are going to delay my project by this date, every day, this is the amount of money that I'm going to lose. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to claim the money from you if you delay my project after this date. So that's what we call liquidated, or maybe liquidated ascertained damage. The meaning of that, it's a genuine, predetermined, actual cost or the loss that the contractor employer will incur. So the contractor delayed me because of that. Every day I'm going to lose. Every day I will lose huge amount of money. 50 room, 70 room, 75 room. So I'm going to prejudge how much it's going to be. It's a genuine, it's not something like, oh, let's put 200 rooms. No, you have to genuinely predetermine actual amount of money and put that in your contract and agree with the contractor earlier. If the contractor delays your project, then apply that LD and tell the contractor, dear contractor, you see, as you are going to delay the project, or as you delay the project, every day this is the amount of money that I supposed to earn. Now I'm not earning, so I'm going to get that from you. As I'm going to get the money from him, the 100 million, the contract amount will be reduced the money that I'm taking from him, right? Every day 55 million, for example. So 2 days delay, I'm going to take 10 million from him. So now his contract amount will become how much? 90 million. Yeah. Or maybe sometime you can write in your contract, dear contractor, this is our completion date, 31st of December. However, if you are However, if you are going to complete the project bit earlier, not 30th of December. If you are going to complete it, let's say 25th or 20th of December, then I will give you, for every day that you are completing earlier, every day I will give you 100,000 riyal bonus. Yeah. To make what? To encourage the contractor to complete it early. The client knows that if he is going to delay my project by 1 day, I will lose 500,000. To encourage him, I'm going to give 50,000 to him, not to lose my whole money, 500,000 if he delays. So I'm going to tell him, if you earlier completed 1 day, 50,000, 2 days, 100,000, 3 days, 150,000. So complete my project earlier. So he may be provided with the additional bonus to complete the project bit earlier. That will encourage him to complete the project earlier. Because of that, the contract amount also will be changed. Your contract amount will be changed. So remember, guys, when we speak about claims under the clause 20, there may be an employer risk, there may be employer delay, there may be employer's disruption, which will entitle you additional money, and you are going to claim the money from the client. And also there may be a changes in the legislation, capital C country, then you will go and claim the money from the client. As well as the client may apply penalties to you, apply liquidated damage to you, or maybe he may give you bonus to you that will encourage you and that will impact your contract amount. So remember, the claims and all these factors, that's definitely will impact your contract amount. Right, the next one that we can learn about adjustment for changes in the cost. Right, you all know that most of the contract, if you go and open your contract, in your contract, you won't see this clause. In your contract, you won't see this clause. What is this clause about? Changes in your rates or the cost, capital C cost. So the clause 14.15, which says that one, or maybe the clause 13.8, which says that one. Both of them are giving a privilege to the contractor to go and claim the additional money that he is going to incur because of escalation or inflation. You all know that. Throughout the project duration, your rates will be changed. You are a good estimator, of course, definitely. You will identify and you will forecast that, okay, my project is going to will be started by 26th January, and that will go for a 2 years period. So throughout the period, my rebar price will be changed by 20%. My so-and-so price will be changed by this amount of money. My so-and-so item will be changed by this amount of money. So you will forecast it even before you enter into the project, even before you submit your cost estimation to them. You will forecast all these things and you will start to put all the adjustment in that contract amount of money. However, some contracts very clearly tell that please provide your cost only at this time. We both, let's agree that every year we are going to give you adjustment to the cost escalation. Adjustment to the cost escalation. I work for one of the projects. It's a very long duration project, roughly around 10 years. For that, the client agreed. Client said that one, if I'm not going to give you the escalation every year, of course, now you will put your rate very high rates, right? You will calculate for 10 years. And you know that for now, the rebar is 1,000 riyal. After 10 years, it may go up to 7,000 riyal. So your rate will be 7,000 now. You will forecast that and put that now. Even though next year your rebar will be 1,200 riyal, you will take 7,000 from me. So I don't want that as a client. So what I'm going to tell you, you put 1,000 riyal today. Today price, put that. However, next year, if the price gonna go more than whatever the amount, the price may be increased to your labor, the price may be increased to the material, the price may increase to the fuel, the price may increase to the bitumen, the price may increase to any of the item, then don't worry, come and claim, let's agree that amount and let's take it. So there is a formula in your contract how to agree the price escalation. Most of the contract you won't see that. If you go and open the FIDIC original, you will see that. But in your contract, if you go and open, you won't see that. Why? The client knows that 2-year project period duration, definitely the contractor already incorporated some kind of risk, amount of money in his, some kind of adjustment, escalation amount and everything included in it. If I'm going to give again the formulas, again a chance for him to come and claim it, even after he claimed that from the original rate, he will come and again tell that, oh, you see, client, oh, the increase of your price, please pay me. Or you see, client, they increase the material and labor, please pay me. So to avoid that, for a shorter duration, the client will remove this clause. Tell that you consider everything based on you are an expert person, right? Based on your expertise, say ABC, XYZ, and everything, calculate and give me the rate. Only 3 years project, I don't want to give you escalation. However, in your contract, if it is allowed for you to go and claim the money for an escalation means one specific item, because of the over demand, the price will go up. That's what we call escalation. Or maybe fluctuation means up and down of the prices of the labor, material, or fuel, or bitumen, or whatever it is, steel, right, copper, right? If any of these kind of fluctuation occurred, then you will go and write under 20.1 stating that under subclause 13.8, as the price keep raising, we incurred additional cost which we never anticipated at the time of tender. Because of that, we are requesting you to pay us 80,000 Riyal additional fuel cost last month. So remember, this clause allows the party to adjust their rates up and down. But of course, not in a single times you will receive a down. Always up. You all know that. We all know that. Every time we go and buy the item, it goes up and up and up. Like gold nowadays, yeah? From where to where. People cannot imagine after a couple of years. Of course, middle class will not think about gold. Similar to that, items will go up and up and up and up, and the people will struggle. So to avoid that, the contract is very neutral, guys. FIDIC is very neutral. It allows the contractor to go to the client and claim the money. However, if the client remove that, if the clients remove the formula from the contract, of course, what's the consequence? You are not entitled for single Riyal. You are not entitled for single Riyal. I have prepared many contracts, okay? Except one contract that we currently practicing that. Other than that, all the previous contract I dealt with, the client removed that clause. The client say that one, I don't want that, remove that clause. Because client knows, clients got to know that, clients knew that the contractor, the project is a 2-year duration, the contractor sub rates and everything will be definitely incorporated, the risk adjustments and everything. Over the 2 years, he will forecast his prices, rates and everything he adjusted. So I don't want to give him again second chance. He will come and report from me. Okay. Similar to that, there is a clause 14.15, which allows the contractor to claim the price escalation in the exchange rate. For example, I work with a company, okay, as a client representative, we work where we brought a company from Italy. We brought a company from which country? Italy. So the contracts and everything we signed in dollar. We signed in dollar. So time to time, these companies apply in a dollar. And we agreed, no, giving you dollar is tough. Let's agree that dollar equal amount of money we will give you the Saudi Riyal or maybe Qatari Riyal. Give us a local bank account. We will transfer that to you. You withdraw, you convert that into dollar and send that to your country. So we agreed, right? So first day, he applied $100 for an example. And we paid multiplied by 3.75, $375. The second month he applied $100, but this time the Saudi and the dollar ratio went up or down. Went up or down. So now 100 real multiplied by not 3.75, we're going to multiply by 4.0. So now 400 real. Regardless of the work execution, the money changes in the industry, money changes in the country will impact your contract amount. If you go and read at the end, or if you go and finalize your total amount, if you see that one, your contract is a 1,000 riyal, $1,000, multiplied by 3.75 at this time, then that's going to come around how much? 3,750 riyal. So you set your mind and you started the project, and time to time, he came and said that one, oh, you know that one, now the dollar is not 3.75, 4. So you'll multiply. At the end, your contract amount will not be 3,750. Now it will become 3,900 or sometimes 4,000. So now, because of this exchange rate, even though you paid $1,000, the contract amount of the Saudi local amount will increase by, or already increased by 250,000 riyal. Yeah, 250 riyal. So that change will impact your contract amount too. Originally you signed 3,750 equal to $1,000. Now the contract amount or the exchange rate between Saudi and dollar went up and down. Based on that, we multiplied, and now it did not come 3,750. It became 3,950 or 4,000. So remember, adjustment in your contract cost, in your element, in your different rate, I would say, currency that you're using, going to impact your prices. Similar to that, guys, if you are doing a trade, let's say you agree with the client, I'm going to purchase a material from Germany or UK or US, and your rates and everything you agreed at that time, that's going to be 3.75. While you're executing the contract, you identify that now you want to go and order the material from Germany or UK or USA or wherever it is, and the dollar ratio went to 4,000 riyal. Sorry, 4 times 4. It went to 5. It went to 7. Now you need to tell the dear client, at the time of signing the contract, I agreed to purchase this material from Germany for an amount 3.75. As now it is 4.5 or 5, now I need additional money. If you are not going to give the money to me, I need to put the money from my pocket. It's an exchange to the dollars. So give me additional money. So that's why I made an advice, okay? I always tell people, if some item, very critical item, that at the time of execution, you are going to buy that material from some different countries, convince the employer to include that item in certain currency that you are going to do a trade. Guys, I don't know who is writing on my presentation. So please, okay, right. So you are going to agree certain item, for example, heat exchanger, or maybe crystal dome, or maybe panel, or maybe ABC, XYZ. Some item we are going to buy that from specific countries with dollar, then write them in dollar. Don't write them, convert them into Saudi Riyal. Yeah, you make all the adjustments and everything, but in dollar. Tell the client, this dollar equal an amount of money, we will take it from you. It's very tough to convince a client, but if you can convince, that's beneficial to you. So when you have such a changes, when you have such an impact, when you have such an escalation, then of course you are going to write a notice, and at the end they will award that money to you, additional money, and that will impact your contract price. Okay, pay attention to these kind of element in your contract. And the next one, guys, we're going to learn about provisional sum. First of all, what is provisional sum? Understand that at the time of contract, at the time of awarding the contract, the client don't think that one, he has everything in his mind perfectly, he brought that inside that document. Maybe sometimes he may with an opinion that some of the area I don't want to do that. some of the element I'm not going to do that. Or maybe I'm thinking about it. For an example, while I was working for Mall of Saudi, yeah, one of the biggest development that they suspended. Hopefully they will restart it. So in that project, the client made one very specific element as a 2-story mock-up room as a provisional sum. The meaning of that, at the time of awarding the contract, the client did not make his mind. Do I need a mock-up room separately? Or can I include that mock-up room inside my office room, a small room? He was thinking about it. He hasn't finalized his mind, but still he wants to float the tender, award the tender. He does not want to delay only for this, keeping that mind sleep over for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 2 months, 3 months, thinking about that, waste your time. No, they don't want. They want to award the project. While they're awarding, some of the items they haven't decided, they need to put them in the contract for many benefits. One, give a hint to the contractor. Dear contractor, yes, I want you to do all this work, but also you may, what is that? You may want to construct a mock-up room too. So I'm mentioning that as a provisional sum, an allocated money, right? Previously, I don't want to go deep into that, guys. So provisional sum means some amount of money which I'm allocating for a certain amount of work or certain specific work, which I may execute or I may not. I may execute or I may not execute that work. So that item, that amount of money, we call it as a provisional sum. Remember, there are two types of provisional sum. Okay, one we call defined provisional sum. The other one we call undefined provisional sum. Defined mean the provisional sum, you mentioned that mock-up, right? Construction of mock-up. It's not going to be something like that. You will give some information for the contractor to pick up 2 items. From the information that you are going to give, the contractor will identify the time duration required to complete that provisional sum work and how many people preliminaries required for that. Rather than giving that as a just mock-up, if you are going to make it a 2-story, 1,500 square meter mock-up room, which will have or which will be constructed with 3 lift and 100 or maybe 50 rooms, as well as in front of that mock-up, there will be 30 car parking slot. Think about this scenario. Is that giving us a bit more explanation from which the contractor, an experienced contractor, can pick that, yeah, to construct a 1,500 square meter mock-up room, 2-story, with so on so thing, it may cost me or it may take me around 6 months. And also in order to do that, I need 3 engineers, 2 project manager, 2 so on so thing. For this, I need so on so preliminaries. So if you are going to give enough information from which the contractor can guess the required time as well as the required preliminaries, then we call that as a defined provisional sum. How about giving just an information, mock-up room, 50 million. Just I put the money, mock-up room. The contractor can identify nothing, whether it is 2-story or 3-story or 10-story. What's the size of it? Whether they want a car park, whether they want a toilet, whether they want a canteen, whether they want ABC, nothing he can identify from that. So if they are going to put that without any explanatory information, we call that as an undefined provisional sum. In this situation, the contractor cannot predict the required time frame. What is the size of the mock-up? He does not know anything about that. Because of that, he cannot predict that. And he does not know the size of the mock-up. Because of that, he cannot predict the required number of people. Mock-up room, right? They don't know the size. Because of that, he cannot predict that. So we call that as an undefined provisional sum. And remember, guys, in your contract or in your BOQ, if they have mentioned anything called provisional sum, it's compulsory for you all to have an instruction from the client, from the engineer, for you to touch that work. If you have something as a mock-up room, you can see that and be happy. You can't start the work on site. For that to be activated, you need to have the client instruction telling them the contractor, yes, we want to construct a mock-up building. Please start that. Please find a sketch of the building. Please go and develop the design or start it. You got my point? So when it comes provisional sum mean, it's a some amount of money often allocated for unknown work, whether we will execute or not, first thing. The second thing, in order to execute that, you need to have an engineer's instruction. When the instruction issued, whether purchase the material or execute the work or maybe deliver the services, whatever the provisional sum item, okay? Once instructed, then you're going to write a notice to the client, tell the client, dear client, yes, you have issued the engineer instruction like a variation to execute this provisional sum. Now, I'm going to incur additional amount of money. And remember, when it comes provisional sum, guys, that's going to be treated as a contract plus cost plus contract, that item. So your actual cost will be calculated and you will give that to the client and you will already agree, if I'm going to execute this provisional sum, I need a 10% of my overhead and profit on top of the actual cost. So previously you allocated mock-up room 50 million. 50 million will be inserted by the client. Okay, you don't want to worry about that. He will insert it. And you're going to check the work. Oh, it's a mock-up room. That's going to be 2 stories, so on, so thing. Roughly around 10%, I'm going to put my preliminaries. So when they execute the work, in addition to the actual work, let's say in the BOQ, they mentioned 50 million, right? Actually, you executed 70 million. Actual cost, you submitted invoices, cost and everything as a 70 million. Then, as you agreed 10%, the client will give you 70 million plus additional 7%, 7 million as your money. So when you execute your provisional sum, make sure that you are going to calculate your overhead and profit and make sure that your actual cost you are going to collect. Your actual cost, how much you incurred. How much you incurred, you are going to claim that money from the client. Okay? Ensure you are going to claim that from the client. Okay, don't miss this chance. Provisional sum, many people, they do miss their what? Percentage. Miss their cost. Miss their actual item. They do always hypothetically think, or maybe they always think about imaginary amount and they come and claim it. So you, as a professional people, if you want to claim that in an appropriate manner, ensure that you are going to record it properly and claim that from the client. So when you claim that money as a provisional sum, then of course that's going to come back and impact your contract amount, where your contract amount will grow. Okay? Remember that provisional sum is one of the fundamental or maybe important item that you need to pay attention to claim your money. The next one that we are going to learn about the day work. What is day works, guys? If we go and read the contract, clause 13.6 of FIDIC, it says that day works mean it's a minor or incidental nature of work. What is that? It's a minor or incidental nature work. What is the definition of it? What is the definition of it? In the FIDIC, there are no definition for it. They just mention minor work, but there are no definition for it. When it comes day work, let me tell you an explanations or maybe a information where we are going to use day work. In your contract, you have rates for A, B, C, X, Y, Z, everything that you have rate, right? Everything you have rate. When it comes an activity for which you never priced or provided the rate. For an example, you identify a big chunk of pipe at the time of excavation, or same thing that happened to me. Let me tell you an example. While I was working for Bahrain Airport, we started excavation and we identified a chunk of live cable connecting the airport. A live cable connecting the airport. If you are not going to take care of it, if that's going to be cut, then entire airport will be shut down. So what you need to do? You need to protect them carefully. In order to do that, You can't do the excavation by using your excavator. For that, you need to have a manual excavations. You need to put 2-3 people to have a hand digging. They need to take it slowly. What is the price for this? Do you have rate in your BOK for this activity? Do you have rate in it? No. So in this situation, how are you going to agree? For that one, of course, your contract requests you all to, at the time of tender, provide a list of table. It can be a labor, machineries, skilled people, or maybe anything. How much that will cost you per hour, or per day, or per week, or so on so thing. So they knew that there may be a minor or incidental nature work. In order to execute that work, of course, we need a specialized people and a specialized system. For that, we don't have a rate. So what we are going to do, we're going to go and measure actual work execution based on the list of prices they provided for a labor. If I'm going to use a labor for any additional work, which never mentioned in that, or where I don't have any rate, then per hour 20 real. For machineries, per hour 30 real. For excavator, this. So you are going to list them down throughout your project, and that will be used throughout your, within your contract, and throughout your project you will use that. For a minor which you cannot identify the rate from your BOQ, you will use that amount. That's what we call day work. And what is the meaning of day work? What is the amount of minor? They did not define it. However, when we speak about the FIDIC guidance, you have a FIDIC book, FIDIC State Terms and Condition, and we have another one called FIDIC guidance, which is guiding how to use them, which says minor work means any work which is not greatly impacting the original scope of work. When you go and put 2 people to dig the cable, it's not going to impact the original scope of work. You can't tell, oh, right, I know I'm not supposed to do this hand digging. Now you're asking me to do that. It's not going to impact your scope of work. Or if that's not going to impact your sequence of your work, or maybe time of completion of the project, then you can consider this work as a minor work. It will not impact the project in a heavy manner. And remember, their work schedule can only be used for future activities, not the activities that already executed, or not the activities that you already agreed with the client. At the time of tender, you cannot use that. For those, you should have provided your rates. Because in the clause, if you go and read the 13.6, it says that the day work rates will be used for a variation that shall be executed. It contemplates a future tense. It is telling that a future activity, actions. So if you will use that, then of course you can go and agree the day rate. So the day work is a list of labor, how much, skilled labor, how much, backhoe, how much, loader, how much, excavator, how much, tower crane, how much, crawler crane, how much. So you'll provide the rate. And in any situation which is a minor work, if you're going to utilize any of these items, that is the rate that you are going to apply to claim from the client. And remember, you are entitled to go and claim the money from the client. If you execute anything, it's your obligation to claim the money, but you have a condition. When you go and claim it, if you are not going to be controlled as a contractor or subcontractor, you can go and give that, oh, right, you see, I placed 10 people, 20 machineries, 100 so and so things. So please pay me the money based on this day work schedule. We may play. To avoid that, what you need to do, time to time, you need to go back to the engineer or supervision consultant. Tell them, guys, I'm working here, so and so thing. I'm working here. You see, my 3 people are working. Please see their time sheet, sign it. You see, 2 excavators are working. Please sign this time sheet, or maybe a record, or maybe statement. You are going to make it and send that to the engineer and telling them, the engineer, I incurred additional cost because of so-and-so activity. Please pay the money to me. So he obliged give the money to you. So remember, day work schedule, if you utilize or executed, of course, definitely that's going to impact your contract price. And the next one, that's related to errors or omission in the contract. Of course, as I explained earlier, the engineer identify a mistake. Engineer identify a problem. Engineer identifies something or a very specific item was mistakenly mentioned in your contract. So the contract says the engineer can rectify them. The engineer can rectify them and make it good. And at the end, of course, any mistake the employer made, there may be a compensation for those. And for that compensation should come to me. If that compensation I'm going to receive, of course, I'm going to update my contract amount. As I explained earlier, the tank, right? The employer supposed to make it good, but he missed to do that. Because of that rectification of that error, or maybe addition of that omission will cost me additional money. So I'm going to go and get that money from the client. When I get that money, of course, that will come and impact my original contract amount. So remember, guys, when you speak about anything, you as a contractor, or maybe you as an employer representative, each and every steps that you're going to take, that you're going to place, that you're going to walk will cost you. There may be hidden cost. There may be an unknown cost. There may be many costs which you never aware about that. So always, you as a contractor, make sure that you are responsible for each and every pennies that they are going to spend. As I said earlier, you are the front line runner to get the money, to bring the money. That's money is your blood. Money is the blood of the project. Without money, nothing will move. So ensure each and every communication that you're going to make, your people going to make, each and every communication that you're going to receive from the client will be monitored, and you're going to pick each and everything. Any cost additional, boom, send a notice to them, get the money. If you are an employer representative and you also have an obligation, what? You need to monitor each and every instruction, each and every comments that your people are making, each and every item that your people are instructing, each and every direction your people are giving to the contractor may cost you. So watch that, monitor that, ensure that you are not going to overpay. And also you are going to alert the employer. The employer, of course, you know that we instructed the contractor to bring ABC additional item that will cost us. So our budget is not 100 million, now 102 million. We have a different tool called cost report. Okay, the client, they do use a tool called cost report, which is being used to notify the contract employer about these kind of changes and a budget contract change. So in all situations, guys, if you want me to make a summary, one thing I always tell the people, always maintain and ensure you have records, and you have records for each and every cent, each and every real that you are spending. Always ensure these three words: records, records, and records. These three words will save huge amount of money, and that's going to change your contract amount in a huge amount of impact. Okay, right. With that, we came to the conclusion. We have 15 minutes, if I'm not wrong. Yes, we have 15 minutes for you all to ask question, and I will try to answer as much as possible. And we don't allow, if I'm not wrong, microphone. So please type your question in chat. So I'll try to answer to you all as much as possible within 15 minutes or 20 minutes maximum, inshallah. Okay. When we do the cost assessment of PS professional sum, do I have right to claim the GR, general requirement, you mean? If it is undefined professional sum, yes, you can claim it. As I explained, if it is a defined professional sum, you as a contractor should have obtained all this information at the time of tender. You must be aware as an experienced contractor, you should have picked how long it's going to take. You should have picked what is the general requirement, how many engineers and so on, so thing you want. You should have included in your contract price. But if it is an undefined, which is just a mock-up building, you don't know anything about that, when you execute that professional sum, you can claim the general requirement. Okay, Mufrid? Right. Now, what's the difference between contingencies and professional sum? Right. Contingencies, it's an unidentified work. For an example, you have some kind of work which you don't know how much it's going to cost. You are going to allocate that amount of money to be used later for when you execute that. That money will not be shown to the contractor. And also it's not related to any execution of the work. You can use that money for a risk. You can use the money for a design development. You can use the money for any other risk. But when it comes provisional sum, it's a scope of work. It's a scope of work that will be executed by the contractor. If not, you will take the money back. But when it is contingency, you will use that as a protection against a risk. It's not a scope of work. Okay, that's a difference between contingencies and provisional sum. If there is a complete redesign of retaining wall on site due to legal boundary change in height, how do I best report that as a consulting keywords? What's the right order of reporting? If you're asking in terms of reporting, I don't get that. In terms of, you're asking how I can report through reports, or maybe you're asking how I can report the money impact. If you're asking about the reporting, of course, cost report, you need to use that in order to report that. When it comes this because of the legal boundary change, then of course you need to report that as a not legal change. It's because of the contract unforeseen changes. You never thought about it. That suddenly you went to the court identified that your legal boundary should be adjusted, so on here and there, then you are going to rectify that and inform to the client. So that will be different than legal changes. This is not legal change, this is legal award. The court say that one, your boundary is not here, somewhere else or somewhere else. Yeah, but legal change, the country legal change, that's different. In terms of reporting this, you need to use the cost report. Zaki, how entire agreement clause will treat by FIDIC? FIDIC doesn't speak about entire agreement. We don't have entire agreement in FIDIC. If you want, you can insert that entire agreement. When it comes to entire agreements, guys, it's a completely different scenario. Entire agreement says that anything that we have mentioned in the contract, what we have named in the conditions of contract are the contract. Outside this, nothing will be considered as a contractual document. Maybe at the time of tender, you might have floated a letter. You might have exchanged some kind of communication. You might have gave some kind of promise through letter. But that letter, you did not incorporate it within your contract. You know, when you go and read your conditions of contract, clause 1.5, that speaks about order of priority. Order of priority. In that, you mentioned what are the document will be considered as a conditions of contract document or your contractual document. When you have an entire agreement, the entire agreement say that the parties are agreeing that only this listed documents are the contract document. Other than this, any other document, maybe at the time of tender, I might have exchanged many letters. I might have promised something through letter. That letter I did not list it here. That will not be considered as a contractual document. So that's one of the very dangerous clause. When I teach my students for APC coaching, I always tell them in your contract, if you have entire agreement, pay attention to that. It's a very dangerous clause. Even the courts, they do fear to challenge that clause. Okay, that's what we call entire agreement. Is there any rule defined for subcontract right according to FIDIC? If any contractual issues raised, is there any rule defined for subcontracts, right, according to FIDIC? When you speak about FIDIC 1999, we don't have anything related to subcontract except the subcontractor appointment and everything. But if you are going to use FIDIC 2011 subcontract agreement, then of course that is linked with the main contract. In that clause, in that 2011 conditions of contract, you have many clauses related to FIDIC Red Book. So you can refer that. But for your subcontractor, if you are going to use standalone or bespoke other conditions of contract, no. And also specifically, your FIDIC 1999 main contract work, it doesn't speak about the subcontractor's rights, entitlements, nothing. It speaks about completely different, about appointing and who can appoint, how you can appoint, what are the way that you can appoint, how employer can object the subcontractor. It speaks about something else. Yeah, see? Right. Saki Eldin. The day work schedule shall be stipulated in the contract first, and then the timesheet shall be signed by the. You're absolutely right. At the time of contract sign, at the time of tender submission to the client, of course, you need to submit that day work schedule. And at the time of execution, you're going to use the same rate, and you will give that to the contractor, supervision consultant or the engineer, telling him my labor work 3 days, 1 day 1,000 riyal, 3 days 3,000 riyal, and you list them down, and he will sign and give you daily. That's what we call these things. Right. Abimbola, thank you, sir, for the presentation. Below my question. You listed 4 questions. Let me try to pick 1 or 2. I need to go through all the people's. Yeah. Is it standard to cap the delay damages? Yes, it is standard to make a delay damage capital, not capital, cap. You are going to limit that. The delay damage I explained, liquidated damage or liquidated ascertained damage, which I say that when if the contractor is going to delay 1 day, every day you're going to apply 5 million, right? That will be kept by 10% maximum of the contract amount, or maybe 5% maximum of contract amount. What if you don't have that cap limitation? Every day he delays, you will apply 5 million, 5 million, 5 million. His contract amount is 50 million. After 10 days, all the 5 million 50 million will be consumed and then continue negative. The meaning of that, the contractor needs to bring from his own pocket and give the money to you. So that's not right. So they will limit, right? Only 10% maximum, let's say 5 million, maximum 20 million. So they will limit it. That's what we call cap. They are going to limit that. Yes, it is standard. Always it's must. Otherwise, the contractor will lose all the money. In what situation should one use time-related preliminaries to treat EOT claims instead of loss and expenses are? We'll learn about the claims and everything, guys, if time permits, or if the MCC calls for another CPD, let's think about it, okay? Let's focus on the things that we learned today, please. Please can explain brief on cost plus. So all these things that Abimbola that you ask, we need to have a different subject. So let's try to focus on the subject related today. How do you know when to factor in fluctuation? How do you know when to factor in fluctuation of cost? When pricing, when to factor in fluctuation of cost? When pricing, because clearly you don't have the contract to know what clauses it is. Walila, to be very frank, I did not get the question. How do you know when to factor in fluctuation of cost when pricing? Because clearly you don't have the contract to know what clause it has regarding that. If you're asking that when we price it, how to price without knowing the contract clause, how it's going to be in terms of fluctuation, that's why you are a contract experienced person. And remember that you will be provided a draft contract. At the time of tender, you will be provided with a draft contract. Don't think that you will not know, you will not provided with the contract. I don't think that you worked in a tender. At the time of tender, you will be provided the terms and conditions that they are going to sign with you. If you are going to be selected, the terms and conditions that you're going to sign, that will be provided to you earlier. So when you read that one, you will identify everything. Yeah. In lump sum contract, if the one scope of work totally omitted, which contain 1% of contract amount. In lump sum contract, if one scope of work totally omitted, which contain 1% of the contract amount, contractor have any rights to claim any amount. Lump sum contract, if the one scope of work totally omitted, which contain 1% of the contract amount. The contractor have any rights to claim any amount because it's contained contract administration. Right. So in the contract, if you need to go and read clause number 13.1. 13.1, it says about the right to vary. In that, the client will mention that what is the maximum amount or maximum percentage of the contract amount the client can omit. Yeah. And that will tell that if I'm going to omit 10% of the contract amount, the contractor is not entitled to claim loss of profit or loss of preliminaries or anything. Okay. If it did not articulate that, it did not tell that what is the percentage that you can claim source anything, then you can go and claim the money. It is 1%, 0.5%, 0.01%. You can go and claim the money. But go and read your contract, 13.1 clause, right to vary. Read that whether the client mentioned anything that if the contract amounts or if the client omit the amount or 10% of the contract amount, until that the contractor cannot claim any loss of profit, you cannot claim anything. If they don't have it, of course, you can welcome. You can go and claim the money. So you mentioned too many questions, huh? I don't know how am I handle that. They want me to close by 9:30. Let me do one thing that Farhan or maybe Mufasir, try to get these questions and the phone number if possible and WhatsApp me. Let me try to answer to those questions. Let me try to pick one more question and we can close it. So iPhone, oh, good name. For the PS item, we submit detailed VOQ and the engineer issued approved VO. Later, we notice that the incurred amount are more than the VO amount. In this case, the contractor can claim the amount. No, you cannot claim because you made a mistake and you should have provided an appropriate calculation at the time of approval of the client. What now? Let's say initially you submitted your proposal 5 million. So the client thought that, wow, to do this work only 5 million, then he gave approval. Later you identify that it's not 5 million, 7 million. If you, let's say at that time of your submission to the client, if you had mentioned 7 million, the client might have stopped his opinion. No, 7 million too much, I'm not going to do. You gave 5 million, he checked the price, then only based on that one only what he did, he gave you approval. But now you are claiming 2 million. The client will tell that one, you provided 5 million, based on that one only I approved. Now you are telling that 7 million, you could have provided this amount earlier. And by that time, I could have decided not to go with this. This is 7 million too much. I don't want to go with that. And the client can argue that. So once they approved, you cannot go back and claim unless otherwise you're going to claim that as an ex gratia claim. As I said earlier, guys, in the industry, there are 4 claims only: contractual claim, claims by law, right? Quantum merit claims and ex gratia claims. When we speak about ex gratia claim, means sympathy claim. To go and tell the client, sorry, yeah, I made a mistake. It's a honest mistake. I did not, make it or made it. I did not make it in a wrong manner. I did not calculate it. It's a honest mistake. Please show your sympathy to me and give this 2 million. Otherwise, I will lose my money. So in that case, the client may consider and give you 2 million. Only way you can go for that. That's all, guys. And I don't think that I can go through all these questions. So I'm extremely sorry. And we'll go through these questions maybe later if the
I think
MCC
we'll thank you, Azmy. I will compile these questions and share with you later on. You can, if possible, you can share the answers.
please.
Thank you very much. Hope this session was very beneficial to everyone, informative too. I've got an announcement also. Our admin already has shared a link in the chat box, Google form link. Please visit the form, fill up and submit to receive your digital certificates. I think everyone got the message. Google form link has been already shared in the chat box. Please visit the form, fill up and submit to receive your digital certification for the participation in this event, in this session. Once again, I would like to thank everyone for joining us today and make this event very successful. A special thanks again to our resource person, Mr. Azmy Sharif, for your time and dedication. I hope everyone enjoyed this session, learned something today. With this, we'll wind up. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you, MCC, past peoples, and all the attendees. It's my pleasure to be part of that. And thank you again. Have a nice day, guys. Enjoy.
Have a nice day. Good night.
Good night.